Ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, those who are listening from the field of science, religion, spirituality, arts, commerce and engineering, presence of Saint Dr. Narendra Modi ji, availability of respected ministers and doctors, reverend fathers and mothers, affectionate sons and daughters. I, Dr.RK from USA, heartily, cordially welcome all of you. You are listening the truth of science and spirituality. It is really nice time, nice place, nice action listening with 100% present sense of mind. Today we are learning the worship system in Buddha. Buddha was against worship, although his idols and images form an essential part of every Buddhist monastery or temple today. A practice which started only about 7 centuries after Buddha had passed away. Initially, the cult of sacred spots like groves of trees or stupas had been the basis of rituals against the then prevailing rituals of sacrifice in Brahmanism. Growth and sects. After Buddha's Mahaparinirvan, 500 of staunch believers met with an idea to compile the teachings of their master. Since no texts were ever written during Buddha's lifetime, differing versions of his teachings were put forward, which showed differences among the followers, a reason for subsequent formation of several sects. Buddha's fundamental principles contained in sermons, rules of the order, and philosophical discussions were documented in 3 volumes, which later came to be known as Tipitaka, described in some details in the passage on scriptures. Most commonly used symbol in Buddhism is the wheel of law, which in Buddhist phraseology means disclosure of the 4 noble truths and the 8-fold path of discipline, as made during Buddha's first sermon at a deer park in the Sarnath, near Varanasi, the holy Hindu city in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh. Visuals of footprints symbolizing Buddha's progress towards Nirvana are also significant symbols in Buddhism. The main sects of Buddhists bearing the suffix yan meaning vehicle are: one is Hinayan, meaning lesser vehicle of Staviravad means Theravada in Pali, school having significant following in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, etc., is the early monastic form of Buddhism which lays emphasis on individual efforts for salvation from the vicious cycle or birth, death, rebirth by following the eightfold path of righteousness and observing the Ten Commandments evolved by Buddha to become an arihant. Hinyan means lesser vehicles is a cynical term used for this sect by the later sect which called itself Mahayana means great vehicle. Mahayana meaning great vehicle of Sarvastivada school, having great following in China, Japan, etc. Is a Buddhist movement which came up later as a combination of two different sects which focused on compassion and enlightenment of all beings, following the path shown by Buddha and through the effort of enlightened monks called Bodhisattvas. Vajrayan meaning vehicle of thunderbolt, having significant following in Tibet, Nepal, Java, Sumatra, etc., is an extension of Mahayana tradition where salvation is sought through additional support of tantric practices. Rapid popularity and spread of Buddhism brought in its wake sharpening of differences, sharpening of differences between the many factions that had come up. Within a century, 18 sects known to have been formed. After the first council meeting, immediately after Buddha's passing away, 3 more such meetings were held within a span of 6 centuries to straighten things. Although some issues did get straightened, these meetings also enabled forming up of different sects as well spreading of Buddhism beyond the region of its initial influence. Patronage of Emperor Ashok 273 to 232 BC of India considerably helped Buddhism to expand not only in India but in other nearby countries also, notably Sri Lanka, Central Asia and Myanmar, by way of sending missionaries to those distant regions. Later, Buddhism spread farther to countries like China, Japan, Korea, Thailand, Laos and Cambodia, etc. Finally, Buddhism also influenced the West, initially through the activities of the Theosophical Society founded in 1875 and through an 1879 publication of The Light of Asia by an English poet, Sir Edwin Arnold, which was translation of the Buddhist text Lalita Vistar, giving an ornate description of Buddha's life. Friends, today you are learning Jainism. India, 6th century BC. Jainism is a religion of India, an offshoot of Hinduism. Founded in the 6th century BC, Jainism's principle is respect for life and faith in non-violence. Definition and origin: Jainism is a non-Brahmanical religion which arose in the 6th century BC as a reaction against Brahmanism that was popular in India during the Vedic period. Word Jain is derived from Sanskrit word Jina, which means conqueror and implies one who has conquered self. Jainism can thus be said to be a religion of conquerors. Founding of this religion can be traced to a region somewhere between Orissa in the east in India and Mathura in the north, means in the state of Uttar Pradesh, but later it remained popular only in two regions of India, namely Gujarat and Rajasthan, states in the western part of India. Later, followers of Jainism also dispersed to southern regions of India, such as the states of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. This religious system was perhaps inspired by other religions flourishing in those times, particularly Zoroastrianism of Persia, as can be seen from resemblance in iconography as well as in legends in these two religions. Founder Mahavi, an Orthodox preacher and a contemporary and opponent of Buddha, was the founder of Jainism. Jainism was evolved by a succession of 24 saint teachers who helped their followers in understanding and facilitating crossing the river of ignorance. This help on their part gave rise to these teachers being called ford finders, means Tirthankars. While details of the earlier Tirthankars may be legendary, historical details are available only on the last two, namely Parswanath 872 to 772 BC, the 23rd Tirthankar and Mahavi 540 to 468 BC, and the 24th Tirthankar. Basic philosophy and teachings. According to Jainism, universe functions on basis of interplay between living souls and 5 non-living entities which also have souls. The infinite souls existing in the universe are omniscient, blissful, and bright in nature. Although basically equal, some souls are lesser equals due to attached fine matter attributed to karmic activity, which lessens that brightness, while all activities, whether good or bad, do result in karmic accumulation. The bad ones keep attached to the soul and keep getting transmigrated along with the soul. On the basis of this theory, transmigration can be terminated only by dispelling the karmas adhering to the soul and ensuring that new ones are not acquired. Destruction of karmas means nirjara can be achieved through penance and discipline, whereby influx means ashrav and bonding means bandhan of karmas to the soul can be minimized. The soul can free itself means siddha from those adhering karmas and thus gain buoyancy, which would in turn take the soul to the highest heavens and achieve eternal bliss, that is nirvana. To achieve such a state where the soul can achieve buoyancy, followers of Jainism are expected to pursue three rules called three gems, three ratnas, namely right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct. For such a righteous conduct to be effective, following five principles, namely non-violence means ahimsa as the supreme law, truthfulness means satya, respect for property of others, that is not to steal means stay, chastity means brahmacharya, and abandonment of worldly possessions means apragriha are prescribed. Concept of God or creation. Jainism is basically an atheistic religion to the extent that it does not deny existence of God. It refuses to acknowledge any significant part for God in the affairs of the world, and as such, its followers never pray to God for help. According to Jain belief, there is no creator, preserver or destroyer of the world, which runs only in accordance with the natural laws of the universe. Thus, God has no place in Jain religious philosophy, but it does accept the concept of Brahm or Paramatma, and every Jain endeavor to get absorbed in that supreme soul through spiritual cleansing by way of ridding oneself of karam, facilitated by disownership of worldly possessions. Life of Mavi. Mahavi, whose full name was Vardhaman Mahavi, was born in 540 BC in a small town in eastern part of India. Born in a rich aristocratic martial clan, he was brought up in luxury by his father Siddharth and mother Trishla. In due course of time, he got married and had a daughter. But the worldly affairs were never on his mind. And at the age of about 30 years, after the death of his parents, and with the permission of his elder brother, he retired to the forest in quest of salvation, a quest which arose in his mind because of the worry about birth and death, as well as the dissatisfaction with the then prevailing Brahmanic teachings. As an ascetic, he did penance and meditation, following the practices of group called Nirgranthas, free from bonds. After 12 years of penance in complete nudity, he reached a state of total enlightenment, means Keval, and became an Arhant, means worthy of respect. He soon gained reputation and considerable following in the gigantic regions. Under the patronage of kings, who also patronized his contemporary Buddha, discarding his clothes and holding only a broom to sweep away insects from his path, lest he should tread upon and hurt those. He kept wandering for the next 30 years, spending no more than one night at one place, taking only raw foods, straining water that he drank, and letting even the offensive insects lodge and ward on his body. People who found such an ascetic rather strange often scoffed at him and tormented him, but he never reacted. Mahavir was not absolutely atheist and did believe in the existence of supernatural beings as well as about transmigration of souls. He passed away in 468 BC while fasting at the age of 72 in a small town called Pava near Rajgrihi, the capital of Magad in present-day Bihar, an eastern state of India. The universe is eternal with cyclic periods of decline, Avastharapayini and rise, Utsarpayini. During each such cycle, 24 Ford finders or great spiritual leaders, Tirthankarans, 12 universal monarchs, Chakravartis, and another new few great righteous personalities, Shalak Purush, appear in this world. Thanks, listeners and learners. Through the light of the Holy Scriptures, you are listening about the Jainism.